alignment. It's hiring alignment. It's like, hey, here's the culture. Here's the culture we've developed inside this company. It's either going to align to your values and your work ethic or it's not, but y'all are going to sniff this out pretty fast.
Making sure that these people, I want to call them kids, I guess, right? And these people are getting the money that they need to make to survive.
This conversation about culture, I think one of the things that I'm picking up here that's very interesting is it seems like you've looked for broken places inside your industry and used those as points to craft the culture inside your company.
And I'm glad that you brought this up because if you go to websites out there, Joe, you're going to see mission statements, you're going to see value statements, you're going to see all kinds of statements as relates to this is how we define our culture. But what I like about what you said is you live it.
I just think that was so important to have that dynamic in our company that it's really about doing future business, not just one deal. Sometimes you just can't fix it. And there's probably my biggest weaknesses is just not cutting it loose soon.
Welcome to the Culture from the Heart podcast on the From the Heart Business Network. In a business world where employees and customers crave authenticity and trust, hosts Larry Levine and Darrell Amy are on a mission to find and showcase heart-centered executives and the companies they lead. You are about to hear an inspiring conversation with a visionary leader that's bringing heart into the workplace, empowering employees, serving their clients, and uplifting communities, all to create true success. This is Culture from the Heart. The movement starts here. Let's begin.
Welcome back to Culture from the Heart. I'm your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine, and we are joined in the studio by Joe Killinger. He's the co-founder of Commercial Brokers International, a full-service commercial real estate brokerage company in Los Angeles. Joe, welcome to the Culture from the Heart studios. It's great to have you here.
Oh, I'm thankful to be on. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're going to have a great time, Darrell. I promise you on this one.
Now, Joe, as we get started,
sweater vest on. I'm good to go. I thought, what can I wear to make these guys happy?
There we go.
We're going to have so much fun having this discussion about culture. And as we get started, you know the question that we ask every guest, and that is, Joe, what does culture from the heart mean to you?
You know, culture is a word. You see it if you go on Indeed or you go on any of these job application websites, you see company culture, company culture, company culture. And it's just a good marketing ploy, right? Well, if you get into a company with great culture, it comes from the top. It comes from the leaders at the top that actually care about their employees, care about, in our case, being a commercial brokerage company, our agents and our employees, and really living, breathing, and making sure that it's an environment that they really enjoy being in. And it's a positive environment and very supportive. And so for us, it's not just a marketing ploy. It's something we live and breathe.
You know what? And I'm glad that you brought this up because if you go to websites out there, Joe, you're going to see mission statements, you're going to see value statements, you're going to see all kinds of statements as relates to this is how we define our culture. But what I like about what you said is you live it. So walk us through that. What's that look like at your organization? Walk us through what living it means. Help us understand that a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I can give you a prime example. So, you know, a lot of being in commercial brokerage, a lot of the businesses that you keep it close to your chest because you're afraid that somebody's going to steal the deal from you. And now that's not going to happen in our company. We've never had one agent try and steal a deal from another. It's just not going to happen. They're very supportive of each other. But the way it used to be was, you know, keep your cards close to your chest. George and I are going back and forth we're actually going to Texas. And we're out having drinks with some brokers back there, not from the same company. They're actually competitors. And they started talking. They go, hey, have you seen this property? I've got a client. One guy said, I've got a client looking for XYZ. And the other agent from another company goes, oh, I just looked at something like that. You should contact this broker. And I thought, you know what? That's the way business should be being done. Not just keeping your cards close to your chest and not asking people for help or not asking if they might know of something. So we come back to LA and I'm with my George Pino is a Commercial Brokers International CEO. And he is out talking to an agent and they said, hey, I'm looking for something like this. And George goes, oh, you got to call XYZ over at this other company. And the agent here in LA couldn't believe that somebody else would give that information out. They go, why would you give that to me? He goes, well, it didn't meet my client's parameters. And so it's sitting there for you, and the other agent just doesn't have it on the open market. And so, it's pocket listing. So give him a call. Good luck on the deal. And he goes, can I work you in on the deal? He goes, no, just keep in mind down the road if so, you can help somebody else. And so now we have an agent in our office, Ari Mencius. She found a deal very similar, just like George. And she had been talking to an agent at another company, and she forwarded it over to him. And he goes, can I work in on the deal? So it has to come from the top, and then the other agents will see it, and then they will continue to do it. And so any of our agents now, if you're talking to somebody from our competitors and our agents know about it, they'll shoot you a quick email, say, hey, you should contact this person. And so they're that way within our company first, and then the industry second. And so I just think that was so important to have that dynamic in our company, that it's really about doing future business, not just one deal. And so it drives business to them. And I mean, we get deals coming in from other companies that go, listen, this isn't something that our company does. You need to call Commercial Brokers International. I know they do that. Mm-hmm. So it works.
Yeah, the words that come to mind as I'm hearing that is two words: trust and collaboration. And it seems like in a lot of industries that trust and collaboration are actually really almost zero. And I can tell that there's the culture that you're building inside the organization has created that, and it seems like that is got to be a competitive advantage in a marketplace where trust and collaboration are low, maybe non-existent.
It is. And we started, so we do a lot of training with our agents. Our brokerage is one that we do probably the most training I've ever heard of. We do classes every morning at 8:30, all for the newer agents, 8:30 in the morning, then you get at 5 o'clock at night before we go home. But you have to start it then. You have to start talking about it. And, you get the older agents, they're a little skeptical about it. I could just try it. It's not hurting you. It's taking a couple seconds of your life, and it's benefiting our industry as a whole. And so, but we start young with the new agents and really teach them that this is really the way you want to be doing business, and it will come back to you.
Hey, you know what I like about this is the P word. The P word's practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're developing a culture of practice, and it doesn't matter if you're a new agent, you're in the mid part of your career, or you're the latter part of your career. Is practice and that whole culture around it starts with you guys. It starts with the people sitting at the top that then forward this and cascade this all the way down. I applaud you for it.
You know what? It's grown our business. It's just a good way of doing business. And, we believe in it. We believe that our company culture is, you want to have a good working place. We have our arguments now and then, but you've got to have an environment that people want to come in and work, or they're still working at home, and then they're going to be less productive too. So, in our splits are some of the highest in the industry. I'm a firm believer in it, and we want to put money in our agents' pockets. And we don't reset commissions every year. I just did a poll on that yesterday, actually, and it's not even finished yet. I haven't looked at the final numbers, but. In commercial real estate, actually with real estate brokerages, residential or commercial, every year, a lot of them just reset commissions. And when I was doing brokerage, I didn't understand that. I'm like, so my new contract my contract expired every January 1st. And so every January, if my deal didn't close, I was going to so if I made it up to 70%, it would get dropped back down to 55. And I have to go sit with the manager, and I have to say, listen, the escrow held it up, not me. And you have to argue back and forth. This would take a half hour to an hour of arguing. And then they give you your split that you originally had. Now, what a waste of everybody's time. Let's not reset commissions. If you've got to 70, 75%, continue it, make more money, but just invest it back in your company, into your business. And so we really take a look of a lot of stuff that George and I, when we got into the industry just a few years ago, really didn't like about it. And then we got rid of it. So
fantastic. I love the heart behind this. So we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, I want to dive deeper into the story of how Commercial Brokers International is developing this culture. We'll see you in a minute.
Let's be honest, finding the right people and building the right culture, that's the holy grail for every leader.
That's why we recommend Titus Talent, because they don't just fill seats. They help you build teams that thrive.
With their partnership plans, you get more than just hiring help. You get a committed team by your side that helps you attract top performers and retain them.
They bring strategy, data, and a human touch to talent optimization. No guesswork, just results.
So if you're ready to invest in your people and create a culture where everyone wins, head over to culturefromtheheart.com/talent to learn more.
That's culturefromtheheart.com/talent. Your culture is your competitive advantage. Design it with Titus Talent.
And welcome back. We're here with Joe Killinger, co-founder of Commercial Brokers International. And Joe, this conversation about culture, I think one of the things that I'm picking up here that's very interesting is it seems like you've looked for broken places inside your industry and used those as points to craft the culture inside your company. Maybe you can unpack how you think about that, because I think that's a really unique perspective.
Yeah, when we were starting out, first of all, there's no internet, which maybe you guys can relate to. It was a battle to generate leads, but you would get yourself beat down, and it was tough. It was tough, and emotionally, we weren't making money for a while, or if you do a little deal to make money, and then I talked to agents that were at other firms that they'd come on board as a new agent, and they have their split with a company at 50-55%, and then they've got their split with their mentor or senior at another big chunk. So they were hardly getting anything. And so I just didn't see the value in having my hands in a new agent's pockets when they're strictly commission, unless you have a system where you're paying them. That's a whole different story, right? But if there's a payment that you're giving every month as a stipend. But if you're 100% commission, they're struggling to pay rent, car, all of that. And then the company is taking a piece, and then the senior is taking a piece, and they're a lead generator. So there's really no reason for the senior to really be training them that hard, because they're a lead generator for the senior. And so I just thought that's just really not a system that is it's got to evolve, because the average age of a commercial real estate agent is anywhere from 55 to 62, somewhere in there. And so that's not good. You have to have newer people coming into the industry. So how do you get them? You got to make it worth their while financially. And so now company culture, like we just talked about, is one of the first things this younger generation wants. And second one, imagine this, they got into sales so they can make money. So how do they do that? It's by the brokerage not having their hands in their pockets in every way. So the way we do it is, when you come to this company, you'll start off at 50, depending on what your split is or what you were doing before and how much education you're going to take. And we train them 8:30 every morning, and then again at 5 o'clock every night. Now, the 5 o'clock at night isn't really a training. It's sitting down and going over what happened today. How many cold calls did you make? How many emails went out? Did you do any post? And then what were the results of each one of those? And so if you go a couple of weeks and you haven't got a lead from what you're working on, you need to tweak that. You need to take a look at it. Or maybe you need to go buy Selling from the Heart and take a good look at that and really get a good look at it. And so you could be doing something better to generate more leads. And so we put a lot of training into it. But when we go out on an appointment with our agents, we are getting the company side. So we don't have our hands in our agents' pockets. And it does a couple things. It makes them more motivated because they know that they're going to get a good pop on their first deal or second deal and on up. Mentally, they're in a company that has a supportive culture that they want to come to every day. I've got an agent, or actually two agents, that drive 1.5 to 2 hours each way every day just so they don't miss the training. And so we're trying to expedite that so they can, maybe move closer is the idea. And so it really making sure that these people, I want to call them kids, I guess, right? And these people are getting the money that they need to make to survive. And I think our brokerage system, the way it works right now, or our brokerage industry right now, is a little broken. And I think AI is going to make us evolve very quickly. I mean, we've got one agent, he's been with us 3 months, and he said at lunch, he goes, I'm just too busy. And he goes, but I don't have enough wherewithal to really bring a junior in yet. So we're working with him on that this afternoon on how we can help him. And a lot of that's going to be weeding people out that probably aren't really what he needs to be working on. But, when you're new, you want to work with everybody, right? So we got to kind of help him with that. But so we take the time to sit down with them. And, maybe not during business hours, maybe at 5:30, we'll sit down with them for 15, 20 minutes, but making sure that everybody gets fair time. Because it's just, when George and I started, we didn't have anybody to talk to. So we had to figure it out ourselves. And I think you guys have both been in sales. You know what that's like when you got to figure it out yourself. It's not easy. And man, if you've got somebody that's been in the business for a few minutes and maybe has a little gray hair, in some cases no hair, then you can, there's a lot of value there with that advice. So that's what we try and do.
You know what I like about this? And there's just a common theme, and it's just racing through my head right now. It's, I got your back. I got your best interests at heart. I want you to succeed, because if you succeed, we all succeed. Mm-hmm. So there has to be some inspiration behind this, Joe, because Joe sounds like a better way guy. I know Joe just sounds like a better way guy. Where did all of this come from? There has to be a spark, or there has to be some inspiration inside of you that says, you know what? We got to do a better job at doing this. What sparked all of this? What caused you to think like this?
I think it was just, I grew up in a very small town in Nebraska, 281. So I grew up within a community, and just everybody was supportive of each other. And of course, everybody knew everything you did. But they were just very supportive of each other. And I think that's where it started. Then I went off to college. I want to be a teacher. And so I really started, I think I caught on earlier just to start listening to people and hear what were their wants and needs. And, if you have the ability to give people what they want and need and the path to success, you're not going to stop that person. And I've got some people in this office that I'm telling you, they've only been in business for some of them for a few months, some of them for a few years, that are top producers already. And it's just because they've got free reign. They know they've got the support. And when George and I were starting off, we had each other, which wasn't really good because neither one of us knew what the hell we were doing. So we'd talk about what maybe we should be doing. And so, it just comes from wanting to, it helps our company succeed. It's about winning, winning with our agents, winning with our companies, I had an agent last week that quit the company and did not like the way I managed her. And but she didn't go to another company. She came to us, and in the end, she wanted to be residential. She hadn't gone to another company for any kind of training before. And honestly, some of ours is the easiest, but some of our competitors will bring you in and sit you down and say, okay, 200 phone calls a day. That's what we expect of you. And so, and if you don't hit your numbers, then we're going to have a conversation. So a lot of these, our turnover's in the 90% of the first 2 years. So how's that for some bad numbers? And so I'm just trying to bring that number down with our company. We still have them. We hire people, and it sounds good, right? You're going to make a bunch of money in commercial real estate, but we do lose people. And we get people that just don't think we know how to manage because, when we say, hey, you need to at least be doing 70 calls a day, you need to at least be getting 3 posts out a week, you need to at least be writing 1 blog a month, you need to at least be getting an email out every 2 weeks. That's micromanagement to them. And sometimes you just can't fix it. And there's probably my biggest weakness is just not cutting it loose sooner. And then they get angry. And then I get angry. And I'm like, why did I do that? So you got to be careful. You got to be smart about how you manage these people.
Well, you can definitely hear the heart of a teacher behind all that. And I'm seeing collaboration here in action. I'm seeing coaching in action. I'm seeing creativity in terms of looking for areas where the industry is broken and saying, how can we be different? So we're going to take another quick break to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Joe about, some of the things he might share with other leaders that are thinking about how they could improve their culture. So stay tight. We'll be back in a minute.
If you were buying a company, you wouldn't just glance at the website and say, looks good, let's buy it. You'd do your due diligence. You'd review the books, check the leadership, dig into performance history.
Exactly. You never spend millions on a company without knowing what you're getting. Yet, most CEOs hire salespeople with nothing more than a resume and a gut feeling.
That's why we recommend Sales Index Unlimited Candidate Assessments. It's like due diligence for your sales hires. Each sales candidate is evaluated across 21 core sales competencies because a crucial role like sales requires more than a personality profile. Sales Index compares candidates against a database of 2.5 million salespeople. You'll know exactly who has the drive, the grit, and the skills to perform before you bring them on board.
Because in sales, a bad hire doesn't just cost salary. It costs momentum, margin, and morale.
For just $299 a month, you can protect your growth engine and make every sales hire a smart investment.
Do your due diligence before your next hire.
Go to unlimited.salesindex.ai. That's unlimited.salesindex.ai and hire with confidence.
Well, let's get back to it. We're here with Joe Killinger from Commercial Brokers International. And Joe, I love the story of how culture is developed inside your company. We've talked about collaboration. We've talked about coaching your people. I've seen some creativity in terms of finding problems in your industry and going, what can we do to solve those problems to create a culture that's better? So I'm curious, as we start this segment, what advice would you give to other CEOs that are listening in and thinking, wonder how we could implement some of this around here?
It's like I said before, it's got to come from the top down. And so, and we figured this out mostly by accident, is one of our agents, she's been with us for 3 or 4 years maybe. And I'm walking by and she's with one of the new agents. And I'm like, it's a lot of time you guys have spent together. Is everything okay? She goes, no, I just got this new client and they want to open like 5 locations here in the next 60. Want to have 60 locations picked out, or 6 locations in the next 60 days picked out. There, I can't talk. And so she goes, I wanted to use one of the newer agents to really help me find it. And they're just going to find the locations. And so, and she was just very supportive of giving this young new agent a chance and get them to making money. And, that is, so we rewarded her for doing that. We were, thank you. It's just simple lunch. She goes, I really don't have time for lunch, but if you're buying, okay. And, so we went to lunch and just said, thank you. Thank you for doing that. And in the end, she's going to make more money because she's going to get more deals done with this agent, and she can focus on her other bigger clients that she's got going. What she didn't know, that this client that she pulled this junior in with is going to do 10-year leases on these properties. So she's probably going to make more money on these deals. And she's training this young guy, or helping this young guy really get his feet established in the industry. And so mostly it's just recognizing that somebody in your company is doing something for somebody else and then rewarding it. And we do that. And, we even do for a top producer for a month, it'll be like we'll get a custom suit, or we were doing, if you want to get your own custom perfume or cologne made, which nobody wanted. Everybody wanted to go back to the custom suit, which was 3 times more. So, as you can imagine, like, of course,
no one said culture was cheap.
You know what? Nobody won this month. But yeah, no, they won. And so it's just about recognizing it and being aware of actually what's going on in your company, because it's so easy as a leader. We get into the day-to-day and everything that we're working on, and we don't recognize that somebody within our company is doing something pretty damn amazing for the rest of the team. And, in our case, it can be some of the staff. And so our staff can take off 1 day a year to just donate to a cause. They can go work. They still get their first salary. They just need to be donating their time. And so they'll go work at an adoption center for cats, or shelter of some kind. And, they love that stuff too. And so then all of a sudden, one of the agents wants to go along. Say, hey, I'll go too. And so just that kind of stuff of giving back and recognizing what your people in your company are doing, because I think we've all gotten so busy sometimes we've got our head down and just focused on the numbers. When commercial real estate is a people business, and actually most business is people business, I guess, isn't it? But we have to be aware of that.
Hey, you know what I like about this? Well, actually, there's a lot I like about this, but there's a couple things that just bubble to the surface. It's paying attention, getting out from behind your desk and walking around and paying attention to your people and acknowledging your people. And it's appreciation and gratitude. And it's those two things that I sense is alive and well in your organization, that if more leaders like yourself just got away from their desk, walked around, paid attention, you would catch people doing things that actually you can reward them for. Say, thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks.
Yeah. It works. I mean, it's just a quick lunch or, just something. It doesn't have to be a big ticket item, but it's just appreciated. Even just the acknowledgement. I mean, mostly they like to have at least a free lunch or something more, a nice gift or something like that, a nice bottle of wine or, something just to say thank you. And it means a lot. I mean, I think about when I was younger, nobody really, we get to do the deals and that was enough. And I just think there's a better opportunity to manage people with a little bit more positive input.
I love it. Just paying attention. And, you are in a results-driven industry. There's no question about that. And I'm curious, and many of our listeners are in results-driven industries as well. Well, really all of us. So how do you maintain this type of collaborative culture, caring culture in the middle of results-driven industry in one of the toughest markets in North America?
That starts with the hiring. And I've made a lot of mistakes there. It took me a long time to figure that one out. But it does. It really starts with hiring the right people. It's like I said before, when I hire people that they said you're micromanaging because you do these 5 o'clock meetings and I want to know how many calls. And it's all to benefit you, because when you guys were doing sales, I'll guarantee you every night, every week, every month and every year, you sit down and go, okay, I did 200 phone calls a day. I got 1 lead. I got to tweak something here. I got to do better so I can get at least 2 leads or 3 or 4 leads tomorrow. And that's why we do that. And that probably wasn't the best hires, but sometimes they interview very well and they say the right things and you think, oh, this is going to be great. And then they get in and miss the boat on there, but it happens. But I think it starts with hiring the people and being very, very focused in the interviews. So we'll do 2 or 3 interviews with somebody that this is what works well within our company. And it's be open to talking to people. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If George or I are busy, ask one of the seniors. They'll give you the time and they will. And it goes vice versa. One of the seniors wants to learn something about AI or one of the other tools. They go to the younger generation. Go, sure, sit down here for a second. And so it works.
And again, this is another word. I'm sitting here listening. Alignment. It's hiring alignment. It's like, hey, here's the culture. Here's the culture we've developed inside this company. It's either going to align to your values and your work ethic or it's not. But y'all are going to sniff this out pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to be aware when you're doing the hiring, because there's a couple of companies that are competitors that, when they do a listing or a closing, they ring a bell and high five and chest bump. And, that's probably when we were starting out. Right. But they've continued that and it works well for them. It just doesn't work well for us. It's not going to happen. I think if I rung a bell in this office, about half of them would come and take that bell down and you go down we go skipping down the hall.
Well, I love this. This has been a great conversation, Joe. And I see here how you're taking the industry that you're in and going, how can we change the rules? How can we do things different? And it's obvious that the culture you've created is amazing. And so I just want to say on behalf of me and Larry and our whole audience, thank you for investing your time with us today. This has been really, really amazing.
I appreciate you guys letting me hang out with you for a little bit.
No, we're
Our
grateful.
pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Larry, what a great conversation. And you know what I took away from this is just that simple perspective that kind of wove through this whole thing is, where's our industry broken? And what can we do at our company to do it differently? And I think that is a very, very unique and profound perspective on how to improve your culture.
Yeah, you know, I've always carried this philosophy with me, and I still do, is the way it was is not the way it will be. Just because things are the way they are doesn't mean that's the way they're going to be forever. And it's up to leaders, and I applaud Joe for doing this, is searching out and looking for better ways to do things, because he's looking out for the health of his company and he's looking out for the welfare of his people.
That's right. Great conversation. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you know a leader that is a heart-centered leader that values culture, we'd love to talk to them. So just go to culturefromtheheart.com, and there's a button right there that says nominate your CEO. We'd love to feature your company. We've got great guests coming up, so please make sure to like and subscribe. And Larry, I'm just excited about this movement of heart-centered cultures. We're seeing it, we're bringing it to the forefront, and I leave so encouraged at the end of every one of these conversations.
You know, absolutely. And if there's one last thing that we can all just take from our time together with Joe, it's another word. I'm a big word guy. Get used to it, everyone. It's shine. What I applaud Joe for is he's shining the light on his people. What would that be like if you cascaded that? Maybe you changed the wattage of the light bulbs inside your office, so to speak, and you shined a brighter light on your people. What would happen?
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us today on Culture from the Heart. Until next time, lead with your heart and watch your culture thrive.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to discover heart-centered leaders shaping extraordinary company cultures. To access a leader guide with notes from this week's episode, simply click the link in the show notes or visit us at www.culturefromtheheart.com. Do you know a CEO who's built a culture from the heart? We'd love to hear their story. Head over to www.culturefromtheheart.com and click the Nominate Your CEO button. Until next time, remember, great cultures start with the heart.